Happy Thursday. How you doing? I'm doing fine. I am headed down to meet my dad. We are, bad news though. We were going down here to visit his cousin who has not been doing well. But unfortunately, I found out first thing this morning that he passed away last night. So, we're still going down there because I have the stuff for the VA to drop off, and my dad has a bunch of apples. He was going to take his cousin some. He said we'll still go down there because his son lives like right in a house right beside where his dad lived. We'll just take him to him, and he can give them out to people coming by, coming to visit. So they're not going to do a funeral because he wanted to be cremated. He said he did not want a funeral, but they are going to do a memorial service after Thanksgiving. So I'll come back down here for that. It's sad. I hate that. It's very sad. But I called my dad as soon as I found out, and he had already heard. So that's one thing my family is good at, is letting other family members know when something like this happens. There's a whole, like a phone tree. There's just a whole network of phone calls that take place. And he already knew. So, yeah, but we're still going to meet down here. There's a little cafe down here. And he was trying to tell me where it was, and I wasn't familiar with it. And I said, and he was saying, it's near this. I said, isn't that where the barbecue restaurant used to be? He said, I don't know anything about a barbecue restaurant. This is a little cafe, like a little diner kind of thing. I said, well, where is it? Well, if you go down the road, it's past, you remember where so-and-so lived? It's about there. And you go on down, and it's on the left, like, where the barbecue restaurant used to be. Is it not there anymore? Well, I reckon not. It's the cafe now. I'm like, my God. All right. So I'm going to meet him there for lunch. And then I'm going to drop off the VA stuff first. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to get down there a little bit early so I have time to do that. Good news. Yesterday, I got a check from Paradise Home Improvement. Yes, I went and deposited the check this morning. I will be really happy once I know it cleared. Then we can celebrate. I don't know how I'm going to celebrate. I probably won't do anything, but I'm still going to make a video about it. But I got my deposit back. I checked my credit card. It looks like they credited all of the deposit back to my credit card. And then I got a check for the work that had to be done. So they sent me that in a separate check. My God, that truck's going fast. Woo! Get some! All right now. Ding dang. He's in a hurry. Where are you going in a hurry? Is your gas mileage not bad enough? You got to make it worse? Anyway, I'm in no hurry. I actually have plenty of time because I left the house early. See, people used to piss me off, and I used to have to drive to work in the mornings, and they go around me, and it'd be the same cars every day, tear-assing around me, racing from one red light to another. Like, you're not getting anywhere. We end up at the same red lights. You're not doing anything. You're accomplishing nothing by driving like that. Like, why don't you leave the house 5 minutes earlier or 10 minutes earlier? I mean, if you are having to race like this every morning, you need to get out of the house earlier. Get up 10 minutes earlier. You won't believe the difference it makes in, how much time you have. I tell you what, if you have trouble in the mornings, try it. Get up 10 minutes earlier, just 10 minutes. It makes a huge difference. It does for me anyway. It makes a big difference in, getting out of the house and getting to work. It makes a big difference. That little 10 minutes can make a big difference. I checked my email for my day job. Didn't really have anything this morning. Well, I had one thing, but I can do it when I get back. So I'm still going down there. I'm hoping to stop back by Walmart on the way back and organize some nail polish. I hope. I'm going to try to. I should be. It should be all right. And then I have a class tonight, so exercise class. That's later on. That's at like 7. So going to that. And then I can edit my nail polish video. I would have gotten to bed a lot earlier last night and gotten that video uploaded a lot earlier. Except, see, normally with my phone, I leave the notifications turned off because it never fails. I could be at home all day and that phone won't make a sound. You let me sit down to make a video, every notification sound will be activated as soon as I sit down and hit record. That phone sounds like a jukebox. It's ridiculous. And I forgot that I had the notifications turned on, and I never remember to turn them off before I start a video. So a lot of times I just leave them off all the time. I just leave them off. I don't know. I figure generations before us did just fine without being constantly notified of everything and responding instantly. I think it'll be okay. I think I'll survive. You know, people freak out and, oh, I left home without my phone. You do realize that generations of people did that all the time and thought nothing of it. And 99.9% of the time it was just fine. You know, I think you'll be okay. More than likely it'll be all right. But I know for me, I get hooked on my phone and I feel like, you know, if I don't have it with me, I get all jittery and anxious. I'm addicted to it. These things are very addictive. They really are. They're very addictive. I would do better to just not have one, but that's probably not going to happen. So anyway, I sat down to make that video last night reading the olden times stories, which I always enjoy reading because it's just interesting to hear, you know, what people's lives were like. And I got about 20 minutes into it, and for some reason, well, I know what it was. I was upstairs doing some stuff, and I had my notifications turned up kind of loud because I was going all around upstairs doing stuff, and I wanted to be able to hear my phone, and I had it sitting down, you know, just on my dresser. And I was waiting for a phone call, and so I wanted to be able to hear it. And I forgot to turn the volume down on the notifications. So I'm sitting there reading the little story, and then all of a sudden, damn Walmart again. The Walmart app decided to notify me about children's coats. I don't know why. And it made this loud noise like bling, and it was I can't do it. But it was this loud noise, and it sounded like I just got blessed by my fairy godmother. I'm like, shit. So I had to pause the video, turn my notifications off, and I played it back like, I can't leave it like that. I went ahead and finished the video, and I went back and listened to it, and it was really loud. It was very jarring. I said, you can't leave that in there. That's going to startle somebody. You're going to have to cut that out. So I had to edit and process that whole stupid video just to cut that stupid noise out. Damn Walmart. I'm going to tell you another problem I have with their app. I was complaining about them yesterday. Another problem I have with their app, and I don't know if it's just me, I have their app because sometimes I do like to go on there and look for stuff. If there's something I want to get and it's a bit on the expensive side, every now and then I will check the Walmart app, and it will be like, I'll go to Amazon and I'll look on eBay, and then I'll look on Walmart. Sometimes Walmart has the best price on something, and I'll go with them. So that's why I have it. But it notifies me of every little stupid thing. Like, I'm not worried about children's coats being part of some Black Friday sale. I don't care. But the notification will pop up, and it makes this noise, bling. And so I go into my settings in the app, and I turn off all notifications. It turns them back on itself. It will turn its own notifications back on. Because I have turned off all notifications on that app now 3 or 4 times, and it turns them right back on. And it just keeps notifying me of stuff. It pisses me off. Like, I like having the app because I like to compare prices on things sometimes, but you really need to do something about this. I mean, it makes me not want to buy anything from you. I'm already there. I mean, you already pissed me off with the whole bra thing. And I don't want to buy anything from you because you suck. You suck. But sometimes they do have a better deal. yeah. So I had to edit the video, and it took forever to process for some reason. So I ended up not even being able to upload it until after midnight last night. And then I have to wait for the checks. Their AI goes in and checks for copyrighted crap. And sometimes those checks can take a long time. Fortunately for this video, it only took about 20 minutes for this one. I've had it take hours before. The checks, oh my God, I don't know why. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 hours for the checks to be completed. And I don't like to publish it before the checks are completed, just before I mean, I know there's no copyrighted stuff in there, but if they think there's a problem, I want to resolve it before it's published, so they don't try to punish me for it. I don't know. In my doctor's office. Oh God. Okay, so my doctor's office, I don't know what is going on with them. I keep getting robocalls from them. This is a reminder to make your next appointment, like for a checkup. And then they started calling me about flu shots. And they've called me about flu shots and checkups. Now, this started about 4 days ago. It started Monday. Monday morning, I started getting these robocalls. And every day, I get anywhere from 5 to 10 robocalls from my doctor's office about either a flu shot or a checkup appointment. Need to schedule your appointment. You need to do this. And then they text me, and then they email me. So I'm getting texts all day long, emails all day long, calls all day long. What the hell? And it's been like that all week. I've already gotten 5 calls from them this morning, and it's not even 11 a.m. yet. They've already called me 5 times. The little robot voice calls me. It's crazy. I don't know what their notification system is short-circuited or something. I'm gonna have to call them and ask them, what the hell is going on? I don't know if it's just me. Maybe other people have called. There's the phenomenon of social loafing. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. And a good example of that is the Kitty Genovese case. I think it was in New York, where you have something happen, and if you have enough people witness it, everyone just assumes that someone else will take action. Because for the last couple of days, I've been thinking, well, surely it's not just happening to me. It's bound to be happening to their other patients too. So I'm sure somebody has called them about it. I don't need to. But hell, maybe everybody else is thinking the same thing, and it's like, well, I'll just wait for somebody else to call, and then they'll fix the problem. The case of Kitty Genovese was she was attacked in an alleyway, viciously attacked, and there were, I forget how many, at least 20 people witnessed it from their windows, like there was a big apartment building, and at least 20 people witnessed it, saw it and heard it, and they didn't call police, didn't do anything. And the attacker left and then came back and attacked her again, and she ended up dying. And everybody just said, well, a lot of people said, well, I thought it was like a couple fighting and I didn't want to get involved, or I figured somebody else had called, so I didn't call. I didn't do anything because I figured somebody else already had. Social loafing is an interesting phenomenon. So don't ever be afraid to speak up and act on something. Don't just assume that somebody else is going to do it, because that's what I've done with these stupid robocalls. And maybe they have, and for some reason they just haven't been able to fix the problem yet. I don't know. I've never had this problem with them before. This is a new thing. I've never had this happen before this week. But yeah, they just keep calling me and texting me and emailing me. And it's not like one call about each thing per day. No, it's multiple calls about each thing per day. And I get these calls back to back sometimes. They'll call me 2, 3, 4 times within 20 minutes. And then I'll go for several hours, and then they'll call me again. And it's just crazy. They really want to see me. I'm like, no, honey, we're fine. I'm fine as May wine. I don't need anything from you. I'm good to go. Do not need to make an appointment with you right now. So, yeah, don't be afraid to speak up. If you see something and you think, wow, somebody really ought to do something about it, that somebody needs to be you. Because it could be that nobody else is going to. you could prevent a serious problem just by speaking up and saying something about it. So don't be afraid to do that, and don't be lazy and not do it. Don't just think somebody else will do it. They may not. Sometimes they don't. So when I get down here, I think I'll call them and ask them if they know what's going on with their notification system, and just let them know that I keep getting calls from them and emails and texts. And can you look into that if you haven't already, please? That would be great. I really hate that my dad's cousin passed away before he got to come down to see him one last time. He didn't seem too upset. He said, well, really, my dad said it's really for the best. I mean, we've talked about death quite a bit. He's 82, so you get to be that age, and you see a lot of your same age cousins and siblings passing away. He's lost all of his brothers and sisters now except for one brother. He had 2 sisters and 2 brothers. No, I'm sorry, 2 sisters and 3 brothers, because there are 6 of them. He's lost 2 of his brothers and both of his sisters, and he has 1 younger brother left, and that's it. He's the oldest one in that generation left remaining. Because he had one cousin that died this summer who was like a week older. He was born a week before my dad. They're all about the same age. And so he passed away. So now my dad is the oldest. So, but you get to be 82. You think about death, I imagine. I think about death a lot anyway. I don't know why. I've always just kind of wondered, like, what happens after that? I mean, I'm not in a hurry to find out. I'm just curious, like, what happens after death? You don't ever hear anybody coming back to complain, so, I mean, that might be good. It's always been something that's kind of interested me. My great-great-aunt Mary died when I was 6. Well, no, I was 5, almost 6. And ever since then, and we lost her very suddenly. I never got to say goodbye. And ever since then, I have just been really interested in, I've always wondered, like, what happened to her? What happens when we die? And I've always been really interested in that. Well, ever since then. So, over 40 years. Almost 45 years. Damn. Time flies. So, I've always been kind of interested in it. And my dad and I have talked about it quite a bit, and I think so. I do think there is something after death. I really do. I don't think this is it. I do think there's something else. But what happens? I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. Does everybody experience the same thing, or is it different? Do people go through different experiences when they die? I don't know that either. I don't know, but I'm very curious about it. But again, not curious enough to find out early. I'm not in a hurry to find out. I'm just curious. But my dad and I have talked about, if you could pick the way that you go, what do you think would be a good way? And I think the way his cousin did it would be what I would pick if I could. And it was the same way that my mom's mom passed away. She was sharp as a tack right up until the day she died. She was 94. And, and one night she just went to bed and she just didn't wake up. And that was it. And, that would be, if I could pick, I think that's what I would pick. Just, I would like to keep my wits about me. I want quality of life. I'm more concerned about quality of life over quantity. Like, I don't want to live for a long time if the quality of life is not there. I mean, I guess we don't really get to choose. Well, in some countries you do. You don't really get to choose stuff like that, but I don't want to live a long time just to live a long time. You know what I mean? I think we've got some construction up here. We're creeping along. The road goes down from 2 lanes to 1, and now everybody's bottlenecked, so we're poking along. That's always fun. So, yeah, I would like to be able to do things get out and go as much as possible. And that's another reason why I try to take care of my body. I want to try, I mean, you can't prevent everything, but I want to increase my chances of, being able-bodied as long as possible. And my grandmother's like that. She was always very active. She hated just sitting, and she always had to be doing something. She was always up doing something. And she was just sharp as a tack right up to the end. Sharp as she ever was. And just one night she was having some heart trouble. And I remember her saying, maybe the last couple of weeks before she passed away, I remember her saying that she felt like she was losing her physical strength. I remember her telling me that, she went to get a half a gallon of milk out of the refrigerator and she had trouble lifting the half a gallon. And she said, I've never had that problem before. I had to use 2 hands to lift it up. And I've never had to do that. And that's all I remember her saying. Now, she might have had other problems and just didn't talk about them, but I remember her saying maybe 2 weeks before she died that she felt like she was losing her physical strength. But that was it. And then she just went to sleep one night and didn't wake up. Yeah, that would be what I would pick. Just something, nice and peaceful. And she was able to live on her own. Well, let's see. She moved into an assisted living facility when she was maybe in her late 80s. She moved into, it's like a little apartment complex for senior citizens where they're pretty much, independent, but they have somebody that comes around, I guess, and checks on them, but they're on their own. It's not like a nursing home at all. She moved into one of those. I think she was in her late 80s and stayed there until maybe 6 months before she died. And she got to where she was struggling, taking care of basic stuff. So she ended up moving in with my mom, but I don't think she was even there 6 months. Let's see. My mom had her floors redone. She had like laminate flooring put in, I think right before my grandmother moved in. So, but that was, she might have only been there 2 or 3 months. I remember it was a really short period of time because she got her floors done and then grandma moved in. But I swear, I don't think she was there long, maybe 2 or 3 months before she passed away. So, but anyway, for most of her life, she got to live independently and, kind of do her own thing. Now, she never drove. My grandmother never drove. She never had a license. She never drove. My grandfather did all the driving and going and doing. She would ride with him, but she never had a license or a car or anything. She never, and that was pretty common back then. A lot of women never drove. Now, my great Aunt Mary was born in the 1800s. Now, she was unusual. Aunt Mary was very unusual. She was something, man. She was ahead of her time. She really did her own thing. She did not care what anybody thought about anything. She did her own thing. You ever wonder just what lights a fire under people sometimes? That truck right there had been riding way back yonder for the longest time, and now he has rocketed off like somebody just lit a fire under his ass. What makes people do that sometimes? Do they just wake up like they're on autopilot, and then all of a sudden they go, holy shit, I'm going the speed limit, we need to speed up, and then they just zoom off into the distance? He's gone. He is just, whoop. He's been riding back there for miles, not going very fast at all, and now he looks like he's going about 85 miles an hour. He's just way on up yonder. I don't know. Maybe he just remembered he had to be somewhere. I don't know. Maybe he got a phone call. Maybe something happened. I don't know. It could be anything. But I've talked about Aunt Mary before. Now, I was named after her, Aunt Mary. She was something else. And I can remember being small enough for her to pick me up and carry me around in her house. And I don't know why, but she called me her little scissor bill. That's what she called me. I was her little scissor bill. I don't know. I'll have to ask my dad about that. Why did she call me that? I remember her calling me that. Now, Aunt Mary, now, okay, her father, okay, now wait a minute. I'm related to her by marriage. Her sister, hang on, her sister was my dad's grandmother. I think that's how it works. And there was just the two of them, two girls, her and her sister. Now, her dad had money. And we're not exactly sure how he got the money. We don't know. It was very mysterious. He came here from somewhere else. I don't know where. Came to America in, oh, I don't know, 1860 something, and had money, but he never really would say how he got it, but he had a lot of money. And the story in the family is, and I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I've heard. I've heard two different stories of where his money came from. One was that he robbed a bank in Germany and then hopped on a ship and came over here. That was one story I heard. Another one I heard was that he was involved in the opium trade and he got his money from that. It could have been both. I don't know. But he came over here and he had a lot of money. And he basically just bought a community, like a small, not a town really, but like a community, and built a couple of stores. He had a couple of mills. He had a cotton mill and like a textile mill. And he built a bunch of houses. And all the employees would live in the houses and pay rent and shop in the store, use their chits or whatever from work, and they get these little vouchers and they can go in there and buy stuff in the company store. And so it's like its own little self-contained community kind of thing. They had a doctor, that lived there that they could go see if they needed to. He financed all that. So, I mean, he had money. So Aunt Mary grew up, pretty well off. She and her sister, they grew up pretty well off. And she wanted to learn how to drive. Now, this was back in 1910, 1912. She wanted, she was old enough to learn how to drive. So he got her a car or something, and she learned how to drive. And when the Spanish flu hit, not the doctor there, but the doctor in the nearby town had a car but couldn't drive it. He didn't know how to drive it. So Aunt Mary drove him everywhere he needed to go. She was his designated driver. She was like his chauffeur. And whenever he had to go visit patients, all the people with the Spanish flu hit, when he had to go visit patients, she would drive him to these appointments. And my dad asked her, "Weren't you afraid of, catching that?" She's like, "Nah, not really. I never thought about it." And she said, as far as she knows, she never got sick. She never caught anything, and the doctor didn't either. It's kind of crazy. Because, I mean, back then, their sanitation and hygiene and, prevention methods were not optimal. But, yeah, neither one of them, I don't think either one of them ever got sick. But she was able to get him around so he could go see people, make, home visits. That was common back then for the doctor to come to you. So, she did that, and let's see, she got married to a guy that I don't think, her mom, I think, died young. I could be wrong about that. But she married a guy that I don't think her family really approved of. And he had been, I believe he was in World War I, and he suffered lung damage from mustard gas. And he died in the early 1940s. He didn't live a super duper long time. He was relatively young when he died, and it was from lung stuff. I don't mean to get all in your face. I was trying to look past that truck over there. She never remarried. She said she had no desire to remarry. I think he was just the love of her life, and she just couldn't imagine marrying anybody else. Because she would joke about it. People would ask her, won't you ever get married again? She said, I already had a husband. I don't need another one. Let somebody else have him. I already had one. Thanks. I'm good. She never got remarried. She was tall too. She was unusually tall. She was like 5'10", and that, back then, especially, in her time period, that she was tall. Yeah, I think she was like 5'10". But anyway, her dad lost all of his money in the Depression, so late 20s. Gone. All gone. I mean, I think he still had a little bit when he died, because he has a pretty nice gravestone. You can tell, you go to old graveyards and you can tell who had money and who didn't. I mean, looking at the gravestones, some of them are really nice. He has a nice one, really nice, although unfortunately the graveyard was vandalized about 20 years ago, and somebody knocked, his is there and his wife's is there, and they were both, somebody hit them with a sledgehammer and broke them. And so the top halves are just destroyed, which just pisses me off. Like, this is why we can't have nice things. I mean, why you want to do that? Why do people destroy things? Just what do you get out of that? Why can't you take your energy and put it into building up something? Why you got to tear shit down? But yeah, somebody went into the graveyard. It was an old graveyard, and somebody went into it with a damn sledgehammer and just pummeled a bunch of old headstones, just bashed them to pieces. And they got those two as well. Just pisses me off. No reason to do that. You gain nothing from it. I will never understand people who take great pleasure in destroying things. What is wrong with you? What kind of fucked up life have you had that is what you do for enjoyment? I don't understand how some people direct their energy. I just don't get it. But yeah, anyway, he still had some money, but he was nowhere near as wealthy as he used to be. And that community, the mills are shut down, the stores are closed, the houses are still, some of them are still there. But yeah, it's not what it was. But yeah, we never did find out where he got all that money from. He came here from, I think he did come here from Germany. I think he did. I think, but I won't swear to it. I don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions on that side of the family about, the circumstances around how they ended up here. I don't know. It's weird. But, yeah, she, Aunt Mary had really long hair. She had hair down to like her knees, and that was very common too back then, to have really long hair and you wear it up in a bun, And she decided one day she was sick of it. She hated it. It was too much trouble. Like, I am sick and tired of this hair. And this was back, the doctor's, fuck. Damn doctor's office is calling me again. Robocalls. I'm going to call them when I get down here, and I'm going to ask them what's going on with that. Like, y'all need to fix that. That's annoying. So she got sick of having this long hair. And this was back before the 20s and the flappers, with the short hair. And she decided she wanted to get her hair cut really short. She said, I'm sick and tired of it. I want to cut it all off. Well, nobody would cut it. She went to, I don't know where she went. She went to probably just a beauty shop or something. They wouldn't cut it. They said, no, absolutely not. She ended up having to go to a barber to get her hair cut. That's what I heard. There's so much about her that I only know because I've heard it from other family members. I believe she had to get a barber to cut her hair. And she got it cut really short, and it was like scandalous and stuff. Like, oh my God. It was just really just, what? I don't care. I like it. Thank you. She ran her own business. She did. She had a business back when she was like my age. She ran a little general store, and she made these little dolls. I still have one that she made for me. She made one that looked like me when I was born, and and I have it. I have it in like a little box frame. Little blonde hair, blue-eyed little doll. It's like little rag dolls, And she would sell them in her store, but she sold a little bit of everything in there. And she didn't have a car. She would walk. She would have to go through the woods. It was several miles, but she wore out a path walking through the woods to get to her store. And she ran that store for many years, and that was her income, was the store. So she worked in the store. And it was very unusual back then for a woman to start and maintain her own business by herself like that. But she did. And that was the way she supported herself after her husband died. So, yeah. So she was really independent on her own. She did her own thing. She did not care what anybody thought. Like, if this is what I want to do, and I want to, I'm not hurting anybody, I'm going to do it. I don't really care if you have a problem with it or not. I've tried to learn as much about her as I can, because she just seems like such a fascinating person. And I try to live my life in a way that she would be proud of me. I mean, I want her to be proud of me. I would not want her looking at me and going, Mary, what are you doing? I mean, I'm sure there have been times in my life where if she was here, she would just like, Mary, really? Oh my goodness. First thing she'd do is she'd smack me upside the head for my foul mouth. All my ancestors would. Other than that, I think she'd be pretty proud of me. Like, you got to clean up your language. You really need to do that. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know that she would be too upset. She probably would not be too happy that I don't make my kids do more. But I don't have a whole lot for them to do. I don't have any cows to milk or any wood to chop. If I did, they'd be out there doing it. They're going to be hauling down Christmas decorations soon. On Thanksgiving Day, probably, I'm going to have them up there. I'm going to be up in the attic. And I love doing it. I just point, like, take that, take that, take that. And they have to get it all downstairs. And then after I empty all the containers, they have to carry all the containers back up in the attic. I don't move shit. I make them do it. I love it. I love it. So, I'm looking forward to that. They will be working for most of the day, moving stuff for me. So, we do it every year. They complain, but we always have fun doing it. It's always, something funny always happens. So, yeah, they'll be all right. But I do try to live my life in a way that she would be proud of me. I mean, she really was my role model growing up. I used to love hearing stories about her life and things that she did, and I just always thought it was fascinating. So, yeah, I try to keep her in mind. What would a Mary do? And so she's been a big inspiration for me in my life. So, anyway, I'm going to get back to driving, and I hope your day has been good. Hopefully I'll get a nail polish video done on my way back. I'm going to try to. I should be able to, unless something happens, I don't know, but I'm going to try. But I hope your Thursday is going great. Thank you so much for watching and for being here, and I will see you again really soon.